The Guardian Protocol. The quantum alerts rippled through the UES Nightshade's bridge like silent thunder. Commander Elena Santos straightened in her command chair, dark eyes fixed on the holographic display that had just interrupted her ship's routine patrol of the Orion Arm's outer reaches. The massive vessel, nearly 3 kilometers of matte black composite materials and bleeding-edge human engineering, had been monitoring this sector for months without incident. Until now. Multiple distress signatures detected. Lieutenant Park announced from his sensor station, hands dancing across the neural interface controls. Looks like an research installation of some kind, non-human configuration. Elena felt her jaw tighten. For 300 years, humanity had hidden in plain sight, building their strength and advancing their technology, while the rest of the galaxy's civilizations remained unaware of their true capabilities. The Guardian Protocol, humanity's doctrine of non-interference, had served them well as they prepared for threats the other species couldn't yet comprehend. "Show me," she ordered, and the main view screen shifted to display a sprawling space station. Its crystalline architecture marked it as Auroran construction, one of the galaxy's older species. But something was wrong. Dark shapes moved against the station's gleaming surface, their forms shifting and writhing in ways that defied natural physics. "Energy readings are impossible," Science Officer Dr. Yuki Tanaka reported, her usually calm voice edged with concern. "Those entities are generating quantum distortions I've only seen in theoretical models. They're literally tearing apart the fabric of space-time around the station." Elena's tactical display showed life signs, over 3,000 Aurorans trapped inside the dying station. The Guardian Protocol was clear. Humanity must remain hidden, must not interfere with other species until the right moment. But as she watched those dark shapes methodically destroying the station, she knew this was more than a simple attack. This was a test run, a precursor to something far worse. "Battle stations," Elena commanded, her voice cutting through the bridge's tension. "Shield status. Quantum phase barriers at full power," Lieutenant Commander Maria Rodriguez reported from Tactical. "Gravity lance primed and ready." "But Captain," the Guardian Protocol. Elena stood, her decision made. Some protocols exist to be broken. Helm, bring us in. Full sublight. Tactical, target those entities, but do not, I repeat, do not destroy them. I want samples. The Nightshade's engines flared to life, pushing the massive warship through space with an acceleration that should have been impossible for its size. As they closed in, Elena could see the station's conventional shields failing against the entity's assault. The Auroran's weapons, advanced by galactic standards, passed harmlessly through the attacking creatures. "Entities are adjusting course," Park announced. "They've detected us. Energy signatures are shifting. They're adapting." "Not fast enough," Elena muttered. "Deploy the gravity nets. Let's show them something they've never seen before." The Nightshade's special weapons array hummed to life, projecting a web of intersecting gravitational fields that caught the dark entities like insects in amber. Their forms writhed and shifted, trying to adapt to the unfamiliar technology. But humanity's centuries of hidden advancement had produced defenses they couldn't counter. "Station's structural integrity failing," Tanaka reported. 5 minutes at most before total collapse. Elena keyed her ship-wide comm. "All emergency transporter rooms, prepare for mass evacuation. Medical, ready all bays for potential radiation exposure and quantum displacement trauma. Security teams to all arrival points. Remember, these people have never seen humans before. Let's try to make a good first impression." The next 4 minutes were organized chaos as the Nightshade's advanced transport systems, another technology far beyond known galactic science, pulled hundreds of confused and terrified Aurorans to safety. Through it all, Elena watched the captured entities, noting how they struggled against the gravity nets, how they tried to adapt and escape. Their behavior was too purposeful, too calculated to be random space phenomena. As the last Aurorans were beamed aboard, the station finally succumbed to the quantum distortions, imploding in a spectacular display of light and energy. Elena touched her neural interface, connecting directly to the ship's quantum eye. Guardian, analyze all sensor data from the entities. Compare against the Harbinger hypothesis. The AI's response was immediate and chilling. Match found. 99.98% probability these are prototype units. The hypothesis was correct, Commander. They're awakening. Elena looked at her bridge crew, seeing the same realization in their eyes. The threat humanity had spent centuries preparing for, the reason they had hidden their true strength for so long, was finally emerging. She turned to her communications officer. Contact Earth Command. Priority Black. Tell them it's time. The Void Harbingers are coming, and the galaxy isn't ready. In the medical bay below, 3,000 Aurorans were about to learn that their understanding of the galaxy's power structure was built on a deception. That humanity, a species many dismissed as primitive isolationists, had achieved technological supremacy in secret, but most importantly, they would learn why that deception had been necessary. Because somewhere in the dark between galaxies, ancient machines were stirring. The Void Harbingers, a threat so grave that humanity had spent centuries preparing for their return, were sending their first scouts. And now, ready or not, humanity would have to break their silence to save a galaxy that didn't even know it needed saving. Elena watched the captured entities continuing their futile attempts to escape the gravity nets. Begin the evacuation countdown, she ordered. Once our guests are secure, set course for Earth. It's time the galaxy learned the truth about humanity's silent guardians. The Nightshade's quantum drives spooled up, preparing to tear a hole through space-time itself. As the ship prepared to jump, Elena couldn't help but wonder how the galaxy's powers would react to learning they weren't nearly as advanced as they thought. But that was a problem for another day. Right now, she had 3,000 confused aliens to deal with, and humanity's greatest secret to reveal. The war they had prepared for in silence was about to begin. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council hung suspended in space above the neutral world of Centaurus Prime, its crystalline spires reflecting starlight like frozen fire. Inside, representatives from 200 spacefaring civilizations were about to receive the shock of their collective histories. Commander Elena Santos stood on the speaker's platform, her black uniform stark against the chamber's pearlescent walls. The Nightshade hung in orbit above, its presence causing nearly as much confusion as the 3,000 Auroran refugees, now telling tales of impossible human technology. This is an outrage. High Chancellor Vex of the Meridian Confluence thundered, his crystalline form pulsing with agitation. You expect us to believe that humanity, a species that barely maintains a dozen colony worlds, has been concealing technology that surpasses our greatest achievements. Elena activated her neural interface, and the chamber's holographic systems, patched through to the Nightshade's quantum processors, sprang to life with an entirely new level of clarity. The assembled representatives gasped as perfect recreations of the void entities appeared before them, their writhing forms captured in mid-attack. What you're seeing, Elena explained, her voice steady, is humanity's reason for secrecy. These aren't random space phenomena or unknown life forms. They're probes sent by something we call the Void Harbingers. And they're just the beginning. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices and translations. Ambassador Lyra of the Auroran Ascendancy rose, her luminescent form dimming with concern. Our people owe yours a great debt, Commander Santos. But these claims, these harbingers, you must understand our skepticism. Elena nodded. Computer, display historical record Omega-7. The chamber plunged into darkness, then filled with images that made even the most composed diplomats recoil. Entire galaxies going dark. Civilizations far more advanced than any present being systematically destroyed by massive machines that bent reality itself. The records, gathered by humanity's quantum observation networks over centuries, painted a picture of methodical extinction. 300 years ago, Elena continued, our first quantum sensors detected echoes of these events from neighboring galaxies. We understood immediately that conventional defenses would be useless. So we made a choice. While the galaxy saw us as primitive isolationists, we poured every resource into advancing our technology in ways the Harbingers wouldn't expect. Impossible. The technarch of the Silicon Collective's avatar flickered with agitation. Our monitoring systems would have detected such advancement. Dr. Tanaka stepped forward from behind Elena, her own neural interface activating. With respect, technarch, they didn't. Humanity developed our technology along completely different principles. We don't just use quantum mechanics. We built our entire civilization around manipulating the fundamental forces of reality itself. To demonstrate, Tanaka generated a localized gravity lens in the center of the chamber, bending light and space in ways that the assembled representatives had only theorized possible. The display of casual power sent ripples of murmurs through the gathering. The Void Harbingers adapt to and absorb conventional technology, Elena explained. They expect linear technological progression. What humanity has developed is anything but linear. The gravity nets that captured these probes, our quantum phase barriers, the silent shield network we've been building in secret, they're all based on principles that the Harbingers have never encountered. High Chancellor Vex's crystalline form dimmed. If what you say is true, why reveal yourselves now? Why not continue hiding and developing your defenses? Elena's expression hardened. Because we've run out of time. The quantum wake signatures are clear. The main Harbinger fleet will reach our galaxy within 2 years. And as advanced as humanity has become, we can't defeat them alone. She gestured, and new holograms appeared, detailed scans of the captured void entities. These probes were testing our galaxy's defenses, learning our conventional technologies. But they also revealed something crucial. The Harbingers can be hurt by weapons they've never encountered. Humanity's gravity lance technology damaged them in ways they couldn't adapt to. But imagine combining that with auroran phase crystals or meridian energy matrices. Understanding began to dawn across the chamber. Ambassador Lyra's glow brightened. You need our help not because you're weak, but because diversity is strength, Elena finished. The Harbingers expect unified, predictable resistance. We need to show them something they've never seen. Dozens of different species, hundreds of different technological approaches, all working together in ways they can't predict or counter. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't hidden out of fear or weakness, but to preserve the element of surprise against an enemy that learned and adapted to everything it encountered. Their secrecy hadn't been about maintaining superiority. It had been about keeping their advances hidden from the real enemy. We need to move quickly, Elena continued. The Nightshade has already detected 3 more probe attacks in distant sectors. Earth is preparing to reveal the full extent of our defensive capabilities, including the silent shield network. But we need your help to expand it, to modify it with your unique technologies. The Harbingers are coming, and they expect to find a galaxy of divided, predictable civilizations. She smiled grimly. Let's show them how wrong they are. The debate that followed lasted for hours, but Elena could see the shift in the room. Fear of humanity's hidden power was being replaced by hope, hope that together they might survive what was coming. As species after species pledged their support, she received a priority alert from the Nightshade. More void entities had been detected, larger this time, approaching an inhabited system. The real war was about to begin, ready or not. But as Elena looked out over the assembled representatives of a galaxy coming together for the first time in its history, she allowed herself to feel something she hadn't experienced in a long time. Optimism. The galaxy might just survive what was coming. Not because humanity had become strong in secret, but because they would all become stronger together. The UES Nightshade dropped out of quantum space above New Meridia, its quantum sensors already mapping the devastation. 3 Void Harbinger vessels, each one larger than the probes they'd encountered before, were systematically taking apart the planet's orbital defenses. The crystalline ships of the Meridian Defense Fleet shattered one by one, their advanced energy weapons passing harmlessly through the Harbinger's adaptive shields. Multiple distress calls from the surface, Lieutenant Park reported, his hand steady despite the chaos unfolding before them. 5 million civilians in the Capitol Dome alone. The Harbingers are targeting their atmospheric generators. Elena studied the tactical display, noting how the Harbinger ships moved with perfect coordination. Status of the Joint Fleet. Aurora and Phase ships arriving now, Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez answered. Silicon Collective battle clusters in position. All ships reporting ready for test of integrated weapons systems. The past week had been a blur of adaptation and innovation. Humanity's gravity manipulation technology had been combined with Auroran phase crystals and Silicon Collective quantum processors, creating weapons that theoretically could bypass the Harbinger's adaptive defenses. Theoretically. All ships, execute Battle Plan Sigma, Elena commanded. Remember, we only get one shot at surprising them with each new combination. Make it count. The Joint Fleet moved with practiced precision, despite having never fought together before. The Auroran ships, their crystalline hulls now augmented with human gravity projectors, took the lead. Behind them, biomechanical vessels of the Silicon Collective hummed with newly installed quantum phase technology. The Harbinger vessels immediately adjusted their attack patterns, their surfaces rippling as they prepared to adapt to the approaching fleet. But they hadn't encountered anything like this before. Phase gravity lance, full power, Elena ordered. Target the lead Harbinger. The Nightshade's primary weapon spooled up, now modified with Auroran crystals that shifted its gravity beam partially out of normal spacetime. The lance struck the lead Harbinger ship, and for a moment nothing seemed to happen. Then reality itself seemed to twist, and a third of the massive vessel simply ceased to exist, phased into a dimension its adaptive shields couldn't protect against. Direct hit, Rodriguez called out. Enemy vessel showing signs of, wait, they're already adapting. Reconfiguring their quantum structure. Elena had expected this. Silicon Collective ships begin attack pattern Delta. Show them something new. The biomechanical ships surged forward, their hybrid weapons combining human gravity technology with silicon-based computational attacks. Information warfare met quantum manipulation, creating chaos in the Harbinger's adaptive systems. But the remaining Harbinger ships were learning, changing, becoming stronger. One of them turned its attention to the Nightshade, firing a beam of pure chaos energy that even their quantum shields struggled to deflect. Shield stability at 60%, Rodriguez reported. They're learning faster than projected. Elena watched as the Harbinger ships began to coordinate their attacks in new ways, combining their abilities to counter the Joint Fleet's innovations. This was why humanity's solo advancement wouldn't have been enough. They needed the chaos of multiple species working together, creating combinations the Harbingers couldn't predict. New contact, Park suddenly announced. Massive quantum rupture. It's the Meridian High Council ship. They weren't supposed to engage. The crystalline dreadnought of the Meridian leadership emerged from quantum space, its ancient weapons blazing. Elena felt her heart sink. The Meridians were supposed to be evacuating their people, not joining the battle with their conventional weapons. High Chancellor Vex, she broadcast. Fall back immediately. Your weapons are ineffective against. The Harbinger ships turned as one, their adaptive shields easily absorbing the Meridian attack. Then they responded. Reality twisted around the Council ship as the Harbingers deployed weapons specifically adapted to crystalline technology. Get me a lock on their life signs, Elena commanded. Emergency quantum transport, now. The Nightshade's transporters reached out across space, pushing the limits of their range. Seconds before the Meridian ship shattered into quantum foam, they managed to snatch most of its crew to safety. High Chancellor Vex materialized on the Nightshade's bridge, his crystalline form dimmed with shock. That was impossible. Our shields were at full power. Now you understand. Alina said grimly. Conventional defenses mean nothing to them. We need to be unpredictable, innovative. She turned to her tactical officer. Status of the surface evacuation. 80% complete, Rodriguez reported, but the atmospheric generators are failing. We have maybe 10 minutes before the domes collapse. Alina made a quick decision. All ships, execute Protocol Omega. Deploy the prototype. Throughout the joint fleet, ships began activating devices that humanity had distributed just hours before. Quantum field generators, barely tested, but built on principles so new that even the harbingers wouldn't be prepared for them. Quantum fields active, Dr. Tanaka reported. Beginning synchronized pulse in 3, 2, 1. Space itself seemed to hiccup. The harbinger ships suddenly found themselves fighting against the fundamental forces of reality as localized physics began operating on different rules. Their adaptive capabilities meant nothing when the basic laws of the universe stopped behaving as expected. Now, Alina ordered, all ships, concentrate fire. The combined fleet struck as one, their hybrid weapons tearing into the confused harbinger vessels. It wasn't a complete victory. The enemy ships were already beginning to adapt to even this assault, but it bought enough time to complete the evacuation. As the last transport ships cleared the atmosphere, Alina gave the order to withdraw. The fleet jumped to quantum space, leaving behind a dying world, but carrying with them something precious. Proof that the harbingers could be hurt, could be confused, could be beaten. In the Nightshade's medical bay, High Chancellor Vex watched his people being treated alongside the human crew. We were wrong about you, he admitted to Alina. We thought your secrecy meant weakness. No, Alina corrected him. Our secrecy meant preparation. But now it's time for something else. Time for all of us to work together, to innovate in ways the harbingers can't predict. She gestured to where Auroran scientists were already working with Silicon Collective engineers, designing new hybrid weapons. This is just the beginning. The battle for New Meridia had been costly, but it had proved something vital. No single species, no matter how advanced, could defeat the harbingers alone. But together, combining their technologies and strategies in unprecedented ways, they had a chance. The real question was whether they could scale up their innovations fast enough. Because somewhere out in the void, the main harbinger fleet was still coming, and they would not be as easily surprised as their vanguard had been. Deep within the Sol System's Kuiper Belt, humanity's greatest secret was finally being revealed to their alien allies. The Nightshade's observation deck offered a panoramic view of what appeared to be empty space, until Dr. Tanaka activated the quantum camouflage systems. Reality rippled, and the assembled alien representatives gasped as the true scale of humanity's preparations became visible. A vast network of interconnected stations stretched across space, each 1 kilometer wide, their surfaces covered in technology that defied conventional understanding. Welcome to the Silent Shield, Alina announced to the gathered delegation. Humanity's ultimate defense against the Void Harbingers. And now, hopefully, the galaxy's salvation. High Chancellor Vex's crystalline form pulsed with astonishment. How long have you been building this? 300 years, Dr. Tanaka replied, bringing up detailed schematics. Each station contains quantum field generators capable of altering the fundamental forces of reality within their area of effect. When fully activated, the network can create a cascade of localized physics changes that even the harbingers won't be able to adapt to. Ambassador Lyra of the Auroran Ascendancy studied the designs with growing excitement. These quantum matrices, they're similar to our phase crystal technology, but operating on a scale we never imagined possible. Exactly, Alina confirmed. And that's why we need your help. The Silent Shield was built using purely human technology, but our battle at New Meridia proved that combination is stronger than isolation. We need to integrate the unique technologies of every species into this network. The gathered representatives began discussing possibilities, their initial shock giving way to professional enthusiasm. The Silicon Collective's avatar projected calculations showing how their bioquantum processors could enhance the shield's response time. Meridian engineers suggested ways their crystalline technology could amplify the quantum fields. But not everyone was convinced. "This is madness," growled Ambassador Krall of the Hegemony, his scaled features twisted in suspicion. "You expect us to freely give you our most advanced technology, to make your weapon even stronger." "Our weapon?" Elena raised an eyebrow. "The silent shield isn't just humanity's defense. Once completed, control of the network will be shared equally among all participating species. We're not asking for submission. We're offering partnership." Before Krall could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Lieutenant Park's voice came over the comm. "Commander, we've detected quantum surge weapons activating in multiple sectors of the network. Someone's trying to destroy the shield." Elena's training took over. "All security teams, deploy. Dr. Tanaka, begin emergency shutdown procedures. Get our guests to safety." But the saboteurs had planned well. Quantum explosions began rippling through the network, each one precisely targeted to cause maximum damage. On the observation deck screens, they watched as stations began going dark. "Impossible," Dr. Tanaka muttered, her fingers flying over the controls. "These attacks, they're using exact knowledge of the network's weak points. Someone had inside access." Elena watched the destruction with growing horror. 3 centuries of preparation were unraveling before her eyes. Then she noticed something odd about the explosion patterns. "They're not trying to destroy it," she realized. "They're trying to disable specific sections, the parts we were going to modify with alien technology." She turned to Ambassador Krall. "They want to keep the shield pure human technology. Easier to predict, easier to counter." Understanding dawned across the deck. "The Harbingers," Ambassador Lyra whispered. "They must have agents among us." "Sleeper cells. All ships," Elena broadcast. "Execute emergency protocol Sigma 9. Authorization Santos Alpha 7. Throughout the network, hidden defense systems activated. Systems even most humans didn't know existed. Quantum fields snapped into place, isolating the damaged sections and preventing the cascade from spreading. Security teams reporting multiple arrests," Park announced. "Infiltrators found in maintenance crews and among the diplomatic staff." Ambassador Krall looked shaken, "Even among my own people." "The Harbingers have been planning this longer than we realized," Elena said grimly. "They didn't just send probe ships. They've been seeding our civilizations with sleeper agents, probably for centuries, preparing for the moment we might unite against them." Dr. Tanaka's voice carried new urgency. "Commander, quantum wake analysis complete. The main Harbinger fleet, they're accelerating. They'll reach the galaxy in 3 months, not 2 years as we estimated." The observation deck erupted in panic, but Elena's voice cut through the chaos. "This changes nothing except our timeline. The silent shield can still work, but only if we finish it together." She faced the assembled representatives. "The Harbingers tried to keep us divided, tried to make us fear each other more than them. Are we going to let them succeed?" High Chancellor Vex moved forward, his crystalline form glowing with determination. "The Meridian Confluence pledges all its resources to this project. We'll begin manufacturing quantum crystal hybrid generators immediately." One by one, the other representatives stepped forward, offering their species unique technologies and expertise. Even Ambassador Krall, after a long moment, nodded his agreement. "Then we have work to do," Elena declared. "Dr. Tanaka, begin integrating the new systems. Lieutenant Park, coordinate with all ships to establish a defense perimeter." The Harbingers thought they could use our differences against us. Instead, those differences will become our greatest strength. As the aliens and humans began working together, Elena watched the damaged network slowly coming back online. The sabotage attempt had failed, but it had taught them something crucial. The real war had started long before the first shots were fired. The race to complete the silent shield had become a sprint rather than a marathon. But as she watched Auroran scientists working alongside human engineers, saw silicon collective processors interfacing with meridian crystals, Alina allowed herself to feel hope. The Harbingers had tried to keep the galaxy's species suspicious and divided. Instead, they had given them a reason to unite like never before. Now they just had to finish the shield before the main fleet arrived. The galaxy's fate would depend on what they could build in the next 3 months, and whether their hastily forged alliance could survive the coming storm. The void between galaxies erupted with quantum distortions as the main Harbinger fleet emerged from deep space. Thousands of massive ships, each one unique in its horror, absorbed and twisted versions of vessels from civilizations they had consumed across countless galaxies. On the Nightshade's bridge, Alina watched the tactical display with steady eyes. The combined fleet of the galaxy's civilizations held position near the outer edge of the silent shield network. Ships of every configuration imaginable stood ready, crystalline dreadnoughts of the Meridian confluence, flying alongside the biomechanical hives of the Silicon Collective, sleek Auroran phase ships next to humanity's quantum raiders. Harbinger fleet holding position at the galaxy's edge, Lieutenant Park reported. "They're analyzing our defenses." "Of course they are," Alina muttered. "They adapt to everything they encounter. That's been their advantage for millions of years." She opened a channel to the combined fleet. "All ships, maintain position. Remember your training. We only get one shot at surprising them with each combination." The silent shield hummed with power, its vast network of stations now enhanced by the combined technology of a dozen species. Auroran phase crystals amplified its quantum fields while Silicon Collective processors predicted and countered Harbinger adaptation patterns. Meridian energy matrices powered weapons that defied conventional physics. "Enemy fleet is moving," Rodriguez announced. "Multiple attack vectors. They're trying to divide our forces." The Harbinger ships flowed like liquid metal, splitting into smaller groups that approached from different angles. Their surfaces rippled constantly, preparing to adapt to whatever defenses they encountered. "They still think like a singular entity," Alina observed, "expecting us to respond with unified, predictable tactics." She smiled grimly. "Let's show them something new. All ships, execute Battle Plan Omega. Every species, use your own unique strategies. Show them chaos they can't adapt to." The combined fleet broke formation, each species' ships moving according to their own combat doctrine. Auroran vessels phased in and out of reality, striking from impossible angles. Silicon Collective hives split into swarms of smaller ships, overwhelming Harbinger adaptive shields with too many variables to process. Meridian dreadnoughts channeled power in ways that defied their own natural laws. And through it all, humanity's ships demonstrated why they had spent centuries preparing in secret. The Nightshade led a squadron of quantum raiders in maneuvers that shouldn't have been possible, their gravity lances synchronized with the Silent Shield's network to create localized points of physics breakdown. First wave of Harbinger ships showing signs of confusion. Dr. Tanaka reported with barely contained excitement. Their adaptive algorithms can't keep up with the number of different attack patterns. But the Harbingers weren't unbeaten for millions of years by being easily defeated. Their ships began to coordinate in new ways, combining their adaptive capabilities to counter multiple strategies simultaneously. "Meridian Squadron 7 is down," Park called out. Silicon Collective Hive 9 reports critical damage. "They're learning too fast." Alina had expected this. Dr. Tanaka. "Status of the shield's final calibration." "Nearly there," Tanaka responded, her fingers flying over the neural interface. "But Commander, even with all our modifications, a full activation might tear reality apart across half the galaxy. We don't know if we can control it." "We don't have a choice," Alina replied as another allied squadron vanished in quantum fire. "The Harbingers adapt to everything they encounter, except when we change the rules of reality itself." She opened a channel to all ships. "All vessels, fall back behind the shield perimeter." Prepare for Protocol Ultimate. High Chancellor Vex's voice crackled over the comm. Commander Santos, if you activate the entire network at once, everything within the shield's effect will be subject to random physics. Elena finished, including our own ships. But the Harbingers can't adapt to what we can't predict. As the Allied fleet retreated behind the shield's boundary, the Harbinger ships pressed their advantage, thinking they had forced a withdrawal. They didn't realize they were being drawn into position. Shield at full power, Tanaka announced. Quantum matrices aligned. Alien tech integrations holding steady. Elena took a deep breath. To all ships, lock in your current positions. Engage emergency shields. What we're about to do has never been attempted. She turned to Dr. Tanaka. Activate the silent shield. Full power. All sectors simultaneously. Space itself seemed to scream as the vast network activated. Reality buckled as thousands of quantum field generators created overlapping zones of altered physics. Gravity reversed itself randomly. Time flowed at different speeds in different areas. The fundamental forces of the universe became suggestions rather than laws. The Harbinger ships, for the first time in their ancient existence, found themselves in an environment they couldn't adapt to because it didn't follow any rules to adapt to. Their attempts to change themselves only made things worse as the physics they were adapting to shifted randomly from moment to moment. It's working. Tanaka shouted over the sound of reality straining around them. Their ships are breaking down. They can't maintain structural cohesion in these conditions. Elena watched as the mighty Harbinger fleet began to tear itself apart, their adaptive capabilities becoming a weakness as they tried to match conditions that wouldn't hold still long enough to match. But the silent shield was also taking its toll on the Allied ships. Hull stress at critical levels, Rodriguez reported. We can't maintain this for long. We don't need long, Elena replied. Look. The Harbinger ships were dissolving, their matter scattered across dimensions, as reality itself rejected their existence. The few vessels that survived were trying to retreat, but the shield's effect had spread too far. There would be no escape. Shield power reaching critical, Tanaka warned. We need to shut it down, or we'll lose containment. Elena nodded. All ships, prepare for emergency shutdown. Stand by to engage any survivors. The silent shield powered down in stages, its effect rippling out of existence like a fading dream. Where the mighty Harbinger fleet had been, only scattered debris remained, twisted into impossible shapes by exposure to random physics. No surviving enemy ships detected, Park reported, his voice filled with disbelief. We did it. The bridge erupted in cheers, echoed across the combined fleet as the news spread. Humanity's centuries of preparation, combined with the unique strengths of every galactic species, had achieved what should have been impossible. Message from Earth Command, Rodriguez announced. They're asking about the status of the Silent Shield network. Elena looked at the tactical display, showing the damaged but intact network of stations. The technology that had saved them could easily become a weapon of unimaginable power. The kind of weapon that might tempt any species to thoughts of dominance. Tell them the shield was destroyed in the final battle, she ordered, along with all data about its construction. She turned to face the bridge crew. The galaxy needed us to unite against the Harbingers. It doesn't need a weapon that could tear reality apart. As celebrations erupted across the fleet, Elena watched the Harbinger debris slowly dissolving into quantum foam. Humanity had emerged from hiding to save the galaxy, but their greatest achievement would remain their greatest secret. The silent shield would be dismantled, its technology adapted to peaceful purposes. The galaxy's species had learned to work together, to combine their strengths and overcome their differences. That, Elena decided, was a far better legacy than any weapon, no matter how powerful. The war was over, the silence was broken, and in its place, a new era of cooperation and innovation would begin, not in fear of a common enemy, but in hope of a shared future.